Imagine a city that, one morning, simply ceased to exist. A city where the alarm clocks never rang, where dawn met empty streets, and the clocks stopped forever at 1:23, the moment when everything changed. Imagine swings that still move in the wind, as if someone had just jumped off them, attractions that never opened on City Day, and schools where notebooks still lie open on the last lesson. Imagine silence, so thick that it seems as if it absorbs even its own sound. Silence that replaced the laughter of children, the roar of cinemas, and the evening life of high-rise buildings. This is Pripyat, a city that did not die, but simply had to wait. And its story begins not with an accident, but with a dream of an ideal future, a future that no one had time to experience. Pripyat was a city of youth, a city where every morning began with ambitions and plans for the future. It was built as a symbol of a new era, a bright, modern, safe, a city that was to become a showcase of progress. The best came here: energy workers, engineers, doctors, teachers, young specialists from all over the country. More than 50,000 people, and most of them were not yet 30. They created families, built careers, believed that the future that a generation had dreamed of would begin here. Pripyat was a city of opportunities, parks that were always full of children's laughter, new schools where teachers prepared students for a bright tomorrow, modern cinemas where premieres were shown, sports complexes, swimming pools, stadiums, everything for people to live comfortably and happily. The streets were young, the squares were noisy, and the plans were big. Pripyat grew faster than any other city in the country. They say that it was one of the most promising points on the map, a city that was supposed to become an example for future projects. Everything here breathed with movement and development. It was a city that wanted to live, and which no one imagined empty. But on April 26, 1986, everything changed. In one night, the city that lived for the future found itself on the edge that no one could even think about. After the explosion at the 4th power unit, there was no panic. There were no sirens. People did not yet know that there was already a danger in the air that could not be seen, heard, or felt. Radiation had no smell, and that was why it was so scary. The city continued to live its usual life. Children played on the playgrounds, launching paper boats in puddles after the night rain. Parents drank morning coffee on balconies. Trolley buses ran on schedule. Lessons were held in schools, queues were formed in stores, and on the streets people talked about ordinary things: work, plans, holidays. No one knew that this was their last day at home. The last day in the city they loved so much. And the very next morning, something no one could have predicted happened: evacuation. The loudspeakers announced in a calm, almost everyday voice, "Take your documents, money, the most necessary things. You will be back in 3 days." 3 days that stretched over decades, for a lifetime. People left with the thought that they would return, so they did not lock the doors, they did not take their things, they did not turn around. They thought that it was temporary. The apartments remained as they were, cups on the tables as if someone had left for a minute, toys scattered on the floor, notebooks open from the last math or literature lesson, clothes hanging on clotheslines, never taken off after washing. Gradually, nature began to take over the city. Trees broke through the concrete floors. Roots widened the cracks in the walls. Grass covered the squares where thousands of people walked. The sound of the wind became the only voice of this place. Silence became louder than any sounds of human life. You can still hear echoes of what once was in it: the laughter of children, the rumble of rides, footsteps on the stairs of high-rise buildings. Today, Pripyat is not just an abandoned city. It is a museum of time, frozen in a moment that divided history in half. It is a reminder of human error, the fragility of life, and how one night can change the fate of an entire generation and the entire world. Pripyat still stands, empty but not forgotten, silent but eloquent, stopped in time but alive in memory. Its streets are overgrown with grass, and the floors of the buildings look at the world through empty windows, as if with eyes that have seen too much. The Ferris wheel, which never started on City Day, now stands like a metal ghost of the past. The sports fields have long been silent, and the schools preserve the last steps of children who never returned there. But despite everything, this place breathes history. Every room, every corridor, every shard of glass seems to whisper its own story, about a dream that was so close, and about the reality that destroyed it overnight. Pripyat has become a symbol not of destruction, but of a reminder, about responsibility, about mistakes that humanity has no right to repeat, about the fact that even the strongest structures are powerless in the face of invisible danger. This city is a lesson, a memorial, a living history book written in empty streets and silence. Pripyat is a city that wanted to become the future and became a warning to the whole world, a warning that sounds louder than any words. And as long as these abandoned buildings stand, as long as the wind rocks the rusty Ferris wheel, as long as trees grow where people once walked, memory lives, and the world remembers.